This week's episode is sponsored by Bike Mustache. Now, I've seen a lot of innovations over the years in mountain biking. There's been some incredible stuff, but believe me, this is the one. They've nailed it. So when you're out on your ride and you flipping snap your chain, you always wish you had that little chain link stashed in your pocket or your camelback or taped onto your cable like we've been doing for the past few years. Well, Bike Mustache have come out with this ingenious little device here. If you check it out, super neat and tidy. Just clips onto your brake cable. Never comes off. Done loads of downhill runs with that. It's never fell off. And it's got a nice little strong magnet that you just open the door here and you've got your chain link inside there. Nice and neat. Fits all different chain links in there. Clip it back on. Strong magnet. Snap it back onto your cable. Away to go. If you fancy one of these, well worth a purchase. If you go onto bikemustache.com and if you put the code in Nigel, you'll get a 10% discount this week. Go and check the products out, really cool. Right, everyone, welcome back to the Stay on Your Bike podcast. This week's going to be a cracking one because we've got a top lad, good mate of mine, and an amazing bike rider. So welcome to the show, Sam Dale. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, brother.
No worries. It's an honour to have you on, lad.
Nice.
So just tell everyone what, I know you've just explained that to me, but just tell everyone whereabouts in the world you are now and what you're up to at the minute.
Well, I'm in Santa Cruz, California. Just getting up. Coffee number 2. No, yeah, I normally have one and then I have one on the way to work, but I'm having a chilled start today, having a chat with you, so I thought I'd have my second now.
Why not?
But yeah, Thursday morning, I've got a bit of painting to do today. And then yeah, Thursdays are also like the weekly get together bike ride with the Team Old Soil crew.
Nice.
So yeah, just chilling really. Go earn a bit of cash and then ride my bike this afternoon with the old dudes. So can't complain.
Sounds like the dream, lad. And what's it like being in Santa Cruz? Like, obviously, big move for you. How long have you been there now? And how's that been?
Yeah, yeah, big move to be honest. But as I was doing it, I wasn't really thinking much about it. But then once I was here for like 6 to 8 months, I was like, oh, it's pretty real now. Like, I have to start paying taxes.
Yeah.
They want your money, all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's awesome. Can't complain other than paying taxes.
Right.
Well, the thing is, I paid him in England, and then I had to pay him again here on the money I'd earned in England,
How come?
and I don't know. I think it's just robbery.
Everything is.
After yeah, but yeah, like I was just saying to you, it's not rained since May, so
I wouldn't mind paying a
ah,
few more taxes for that, to be fair.
double tax so you don't get rain.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it's been lots of sunshine, lots of riding,
Yeah.
and just nice to learn a new area.
Yeah.
You know, you think you know a place after a month or so, but it takes 3 or 4 months to really get in the groove of somewhere and
Mm.
get an idea for what it's all about. And although it seems like England, there's still a lot to learn.
Yeah.
Like even the words. I asked someone for a spanner the other day, and they were like, "What's a spanner?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's a wrench."
Yeah. It's funny how that stuff in it.
Yeah, so yeah, it's been a big learning curve, but I'm buzzing.
Cool. Have you not? You don't seem to have as much of a Californian accent than like what Pete used to have when he rode for GT and spent a lot of time there.
Well, it's funny you should say that. My mum, bless her, she did a bit of research when I moved here to find out whether or not I'd lose my accent.
Yeah.
And apparently, if you move after the age of like 32 or something, or 30, you're like 90% more likely to not lose anything.
Right.
So
Right.
Petey must have just been a bit too young.
Or he just wanted to be Californian.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, probably a bit of that. He
Yeah.
was down in SoCal though, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Or was
yeah.
he up here?
No, he was SoCal. He was ordering waters and hanging out with Parliament.
Water.
Yeah,
But you spent a bit of time here, didn't you?
yeah. I don't think I picked up the American accent, other than I did start saying some American words like you were saying because people don't know what
Yeah, I
you're
don't understand.
saying. So like I think I came home once after time then said I needed to put something in the trash and flipping.
Yeah, trash is a real one.
Yeah, I asked me mate. I couldn't remember where flipping B&Q was, and I said to me mate, "Where's Home Depot?" He was like, "What?"
What is that?
Yeah, I forgot it was called B&Q rather than Home
B&Q,
Depot
yeah.
like that. But no, I didn't really get onto the American accent very much. I don't think. But yeah,
No,
uh,
it's funny now. I hear people talking and I'm like, are they American? Or, like, what are they?
yeah,
Like, because it's not, well, there's a lot of varieties of accents here, but
yeah,
um, yeah, I don't know if I've just been here that long. It's sort of all just becoming the norm.
yeah, yeah, maybe.
I mean, you
What?
get some that really stand out and you
Yeah,
think they're putting it on for like a film or something, but I'll
yeah.
leave them alone.
And I think, and from what I can remember, it's quite different in NorCal than SoCal, in it. Just the whole
Yeah.
vibe and like the way people are and stuff. I felt like it was it's a bit more laid back and chilled up in NorCal, like bit more like the UK, I guess. Not exactly, but a little bit more like it, maybe.
Well, I was going to say that, you get all your, super wealthy lot down near London
Yeah,
and it's pretty hectic. I mean, it's not for me down there.
yeah,
And then up north, people are a bit more laid back, a bit
yeah,
more horizontal,
yeah,
like the rain.
yeah.
Um, and it is similar here. I
Hmm.
mean, Santa Cruz is a super wealthy town now because of the internet. Like Silicon Valley is just over the hill.
Right,
So you get like it was a pretty cheap place to live until the internet.
right,
And then that brought in a lot of tech wealth.
right. Okay.
Um, yeah, so it is kind of wealthy, but it's kind of like seen a bit tacky if you're showing your wealth off.
Okay.
So if someone's driving around town in a Porsche or whatever,
Hmm.
people are just a bit like,
Not very.
and then like, yeah, like I know a geezer whose company makes close to a lot of money. He sells like traffic lights and manhole covers to city councils and stuff.
All right.
So he makes till and he just drives around in a fairly average Lexus thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, you'd never know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice because you could just wandering along having a chat to someone. You're like, it's Clint Eastwood, or
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, definitely down south. Same as England. You know,
Yeah.
all the show offs are down south, and
Yeah.
the chillers are up here.
Yeah. 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 Even the mountain bike YouTubers, all the seems to be the down south ones that have got all the flashy cars on the YouTube and that in it.
Well, they need to have the YouTube to pay to
Yeah.
fit into that lifestyle.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not doing it by choice.
No.
They do
No.
it because they got fill the Ferrari up tomorrow. It's going
Yeah.
to cost them 200 quid, So you got to
Yeah.
make a video about it to pay
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. But we'll talk a bit about that in a bit. But yeah, but before we start on your like biking career and stuff, obviously it's World Champs this week. Do you still follow all the downhill World Cup and the racing and stuff, or
I check in after like race weekend to see what's going on, but I mean, I raced it for that long. I feel like I'm just in a bit of a dirty protest, really. I don't want to pay to watch it.
fair
Like, I
enough?
feel like I know the sport so well and I know all the people really well that
Yeah,
I don't want to be out of pocket to sit there and watch it on TV.
it is weird.
Um,
It is
yeah.
weird. I mean, I think like it's not going to happen, but stupidly, like for people like us that have put a big part of our lives into the industry. You'd think like them guys would say, "Look, dudes, you can have a code to watch it." Do you know what I mean? It is bonkers.
Yeah, it is your voucher code. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why they don't do that. It's something that maybe if Chris Ball tunes into our uh, podcast, he can think about that one.
yeah, yeah. Maybe you never know. I think he's a busy guy. I bet
Well,
he's filling up his Ferrari right now.
well, to be fair, I went for a coffee in the new coffee shop in the village a bit earlier today with Michelle, and he cruised in, flipping for a coffee. Looks pretty stressed out, to be fair.
Really,
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
a shame.
all uh, all joking
Poor
aside,
Chris.
I'm sure he's earning some good money out of it, but it must be a stressful job, like, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing with everything, in it. You got to find a nice balance.
Mm, mm.
And I mean, I've not been to one of the races since they've changed setup and everything, but I haven't heard much positive feedback.
Yeah,
Um,
I,
so I mean, if you're organising it and that you're getting negative feedback, it must be a headache.
yeah. Well, I went to Fort William. Me and Harrison went up and just camped in the van and went and had a watch. And yeah, it was a lot different at the bottom. It was basically set up for a kind of a TV show. For all the cameras were at the bottom, and there was like big, structures and stuff. And it just looked more like it was, made for TV. But
Yeah,
definitely the definitely the least amount of people I've ever seen at a World Cup there, I reckon.
really.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It literally didn't, the finish area is normally pretty chocker, and I'd
Yeah,
say,
it's rammed.
yeah, it didn't fully fill up, and it only started to fill up, even a little bit. I'd say like halfway through the last 30 men coming down.
No way.
Yeah, it was a bit sad really at first, like, and then it did
Yeah,
right at the end because the level of riding and stuff is incredible, and all the riders are still doing amazing. So
yeah,
I hope it doesn't go like the wrong way after all this what's going on. But
yeah, yeah. I was chatting to some of the Kiwi boys in Whistler,
mhm,
and one of them was saying that the UCI, it's really hard for it to change because I was saying why doesn't everyone just start up a separate series? Like
mhm.
the EWSs were organised by people in that country when the race was happening.
Yeah,
So it wouldn't be that hard to club together and be like, can we come and race in
yeah,
Colombia again or
yeah,
wherever? But apparently, if you're a racer and you race outside of a UCI sanctioned event,
mhm.
then the UCI can ban you from racing in their events.
What?
Yeah, so Matt Walker, Kiwi lad,
Yeah,
he'd done a few of them street races in South America, and
yeah,
the UCI reached out and were like, "Oi, mate, you can't be doing that. You're part of our thing." So if anyone wants to set up a series to like yeah, a
yeah.
good series, like a good bike rider series,
So how
you've
does
got
that
to go.
crank works and stuff?
I think the downhills are UCI sanctioned,
Right, right.
I believe.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's just a bit cheeky, that, isn't it?
Oh,
Oh,
definitely.
what you're having fun at someone else's race? Blah, not under our name, mate.
But but it's not like they're not paying you wages, or they're not even giving you a free entry. You've got to pay to go. You've got to pay your
Yeah, you've
team.
got to pay for the privilege, haven't you?
Yeah, your team's got to pay. This is the thing I don't understand with it. Like, especially World Cup downhill, like the amount of money it costs to put a team together. Your riders' salaries, all your vehicles, your staff, and all that. And
Yeah,
they're the people that are making the race good. I don't understand how you have to pay to be at the race. That should be at least free, or the race should actually pay you to come there. That's the bit I don't get.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Um,
Well, it's kind of similar when you're young, and sponsors are like, oh yeah, we'll sponsor you. You can have this bike and that, and you go and do this race, and you're so lucky to be able to do your hobby
yeah.
as a job sort of thing.
Mm.
But then if I'd done, even if I'd been a bricklayer for the amount of time I'd been racing World Cup, I'd be a sick bricklayer. I'd have a mint rep, and people would pay me like
Yeah.
a lot of money to go and lay bricks.
Yeah.
But downhills, well, mountain bike, it isn't really like that.
No.
It's like, I was always told I was so lucky to do it
Mm.
for a job, but then, yeah, it gets to a point you're like, oh, hold on a minute,
Yeah.
like, I've got a tax
Got,
bills coming up, or I need to live,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
I aim to live fairly well for a while, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's all a bit backwards.
It
And
is.
I know it's hard to get money to pay everyone a good living wage,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean,
Mm.
I think there's like some of the bike shops in Santa Cruz alone make so much money. Like cycling as an industry makes so much money. I
Mm.
think it could be distributed a little better
Yeah. Yeah.
to, like you say, help the people that are actually making the event.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the fact that they're just shrinking it now as well, so it's even harder for. Like, I'd love to go and race a World Cup again, but I don't want to spend 6 months in the gym and go points chasing
But no
to
money.
to maybe go and do 10 runs down a
Yeah.
mediocre track sort of thing.
And even if you come in the, qualify through to the semis, it's so hard to compete with the dudes that are getting in the top 30 um,
Well,
without
yeah,
full time. Like you're unlikely to flipping be able to get in the top 30 and be on the TV, aren't you?
very unlikely, yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I mean, it's good because it well, I don't think it's that good, but it protects the stars of the show. So you get your stars for your TV show, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And once you're at that level and you've got a load of points and you've got the same mechanic that you've had for the last 5 years and you've got your suspension settings for every track.
Yeah.
Oh, it's raining. Oh, last time it rained here, we took 2 clicks of this off and one of these, and
Yeah.
straight away you're on it. And like a lot of them go to races 2 or 3 week, well, racetracks 2 or 3 weeks before
Mm.
the race,
Yeah.
so they're not stressing when practice comes around. Because I think
Mm.
last time I did practice at a World Cup, it was like 8:30 till 10 or something
Yeah.
on one of the days. I'm like, really?
I know. You don't want to be like
Yeah.
risking that speed at 8:30 in the morning, do you? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I'm a big fan of when it was. You'd show up, would be 300 riders stood in line for the gondola or whatever,
Mm.
and you'd get 8 runs in on the Thursday, say,
Yeah.
coupling on the Friday, qualify Friday, race Saturday,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and the track would be a totally different track to what it was when you walked it.
Yeah.
It's like a motocross track.
Yeah.
Big holes, roots are coming out.
Yeah.
Some venues you'd have the army on standby, ready to dig tree roots and stumps out when it was like unrideable.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's going a bit different in it. I mean, I know everything evolves, but you
yeah,
want it to still have its, the good values of how it was when it was kind of started. You know what I mean? It's that was in my opinion, that was the good thing about downhill. Like when I started doing it, I was already in my mid 20s, so I was
yeah,
able to luckily do all right at the races in the UK, which then allowed me to enter a World Cup downhill. And then I got to go to do a World Cup downhill at like, I don't know, 26 or something. Never been
yeah,
before. And then I managed to qualify decent, but now, if I decided to start mountain biking now at that age, I'd have absolutely no chance. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't
Well,
even.
you're pretty handy, bro.
Yeah, but
I
I would.
wouldn't put it past you.
But do you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't even be able to. I'd have to be on a proper team. I'd have to like.
Yeah, yeah, defo.
I probably couldn't even get the points at a UK national or anything. Do you know what I mean? Uh,
Yeah, I'm a bit out of the loop to know what the point situation is these days. But when I last time I raced, I think you needed 40 points,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I think if you won a UK national, you got 20.
yeah, yeah.
So it's
So
like, yeah, how do you do that?
yeah, no. That's the bit I don't like about it because there's always some really talented people that can just pop up and have the ability to do it, but seems now it's going to the way where um it's only going to be flipping youth and junior riders that are put onto big programs and they're going to be the ones that are able to do it through the programs.
Yeah, it's becoming a bit of a rich man's game, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Not like back in the day, you used to go to a PS race or
yeah.
whatever, and there'd be hardtail or every kind of bike,
Hmm.
just bolted together.
Yeah.
But now you go to a regional, and it's like, I mean, if you've got a 10-year-old sprinter van, you're like, you used to think you were the king, but now you're the poor man, aren't you?
Yeah,
So yeah, it's evolving, and
yeah,
I'm glad I was involved with it in like 2008, 2009.
yeah, yeah.
They were some of my favourites. I
Cool.
always go on about it. Schladming '08,
Yeah.
the cream of the crop, mate.
Is that the one Blanky one?
It could have been, yeah.
Yeah.
Or he might have been '09,
Oh no,
actually.
Sam win it. Oh no, wait, maybe.
Maybe, yeah, Sam.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's something that we'll talk about in a bit. But well, we may as well. I may as well mention that to you now because it's a question I asked Brooke McDonald when I
The
chatted to her,
Bulldog.
yeah, the other week. But obviously Blanky won that, whether it was at '09 Schladming, which the track was incredible looking. Um,
Yeah.
Brooke won a World Cup in
11, wasn't it? Valdezere,
Val d'Isère 11, and
I think.
both of them wins. They were both on flat pedals, and I know you've rode flats and clips and gone backwards and forwards, but
Yeah, yeah.
when they swapped over to clips, I understand, the pressure because everyone's winning on clip pedals, but they've never won a World Cup since. Uh,
Yeah.
and I just wonder if that's like, would they have won any more World Cups if they'd have stayed on the flat pedals? Like if they didn't sort of, that was one thing that I know it's evolved and the sport's different now, but that's one thing that Sam Hill never did was sort of follow the trends of what the winning people were doing. And
Yeah, yeah.
and I think it's really difficult not to do that. What's your take on that?
Yeah, it's a good one, that. Good question. But I think it's down to, like, back in the day, I think it was more riders' ability to handle a bicycle
Yeah.
would win them a race.
Mm.
Whereas now it's a bit more Formula One, and
Yeah.
like the tracks aren't as technical.
No.
Like I remember being at the top of some tracks thinking, right, the goal is get down without falling off, and you'll
Yeah.
get a good result.
Yeah.
And you get through certain sections of track, like Rock Garden in Cairns when we felt like 2013 or 14 or something.
Yeah.
And every time you got through that, it didn't matter if your knees were up near your ears or,
Yeah.
legs off,
Yeah.
facing this way, that way. You get through it and you'd be like,
Yeah.
I'm through, like,
Yeah.
let's go, sort of thing. And I think there used to be more of that in the
Yeah.
tracks.
Definitely.
And I think that's how Sam and Blanky and like Brendan,
Hmm.
broke.
Hmm.
I think that's how they did it because they
Yeah,
were just really good on a bike.
yeah,
And
yeah,
like now you can ride trails and World Cup tracks, bike park tracks, and it's just like,
just
yeah, I get it. I get being clipped in. I ride clipped in quite a lot, and
yeah.
you're
Well, you
just
do,
you're
can't
part
you?
of the bike, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, I don't
So
know.
any
Never tried
yeah,
it. It scared me.
you yeah, and you're just attached to it. So when you hit, well, it's just one less thing that can go wrong.
Yeah,
You ain't gonna blow your feet off. Although
yeah,
I have blown feet off pedals clipped in, hit a turn hard and your foot just goes.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, one less thing to think about, and I think it gets your weight a bit more centered,
Sure. Okay.
um, a bit more in the middle. But then
Yeah,
you can do that with playing with suspension anyway.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I mean, I'd ride a bike clipped in and put my flats on it, and it'd feel a little bit different for a few runs. But after that, I'd feel really comfy. Yeah,
yeah.
doesn't take me long to switch.
That's good. Yeah.
Mm.
Well, anyway, let's go back to the start of it, and how you got into bikes, and then how you got into racing. How did that all? How did you do that, and where did it all start for you?
Well, yeah, um, yeah. Just always been an outdoorsy kind of kid.
Yeah.
I went missing down in Cornwall once when I was 2 or 3 years old, and my parents didn't know where I was, and they were walking out campsite trying to find me, and I was just pushing. I had this little pedal along tractor with like a bucket on the front,
Yeah.
and I was pushing it to the top of this hill, getting on it, and just bombing down the hill on it like that. And this other family had been watching me do it for about half an hour or something, and I was just straight back up to the top, straight down, up, down, just loving it.
Yeah.
So from an early age, I've been into playing, you know,
Playing
getting a
out.
bit scared.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I've got an older brother who's 5 years older than me.
Uh,
Um, so it was kind of cool because if it was just me without an older brother, I probably would have been kept at home a bit more. But because I could go out with my bro and just ride round, and
yeah.
even if you ride into the park to play a bit of footy, on the way you'll find a curb to jump off or
Yeah.
anything like that. So yeah, bikes were always the thing. And my old man was into moto trials.
Hmm.
So we'd help him mark sections out the day before a trial.
Okay.
And we'd ride some of the sections backwards on our mountain bikes.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, there was a race series, Leisure Lakes in Preston.
Yeah. Yeah. That I
The
did a
little,
race
they were
there.
mint. Yeah, like the flat, sandy, little loopy. Yeah, so we started doing them really.
I didn't know.
And oh yeah, yeah, it was mint.
You never stopped pedaling because there was not big enough hills, was there?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then when I was old enough, went from there and just started racing downhill. So yeah, it was
So
a bit more exciting.
so where did you so Leisure Lakes the is that was it called Tarleton there, that one? Um
Don't know. We always used to call it Preston.
yeah, it was well it's near
It's
Preston.
near Preston Docks, isn't it?
Yeah, not far. And it's got the lake in the middle and all that.
Yeah, yeah. I think the Preston Docks is on one side of the lake, and this
Yeah,
was on the other.
yeah,
Like you could hear motorbikes riding and that.
yeah. Well, and so where was your first place you went downhill in then?
I think it was Bringewood.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was on a hardtail, and it rained. It's kind of clayey there,
Is yeah.
and I remember trying to push my bike to the top of the hill, and both wheels got fully clogged up with clay.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was young, probably started crying a bit. You know, when you're all waterproofed up and you're overheating, bike won't move. I'm pretty sure it was Scott Beaumont,
Right.
Boom Boom Beaumont,
Yeah.
and he's old man maybe. maybe both of them, but they
Yeah.
help clear the clayey crap out of my wheels, so my wheels will turn again.
No way,
And
brilliant.
but yeah, Bringewood, that was one of the first places for me,
And how
and
old
it
were
was us. Go on, how old? Probably 13.
you? Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and it was just the whole vibe there. You know, the Pierce family are amazing.
Hmm.
Like Dave had made those sick double story trailers to go on the back of his tractor.
Yeah,
So you'd pass your bike up to him, sit underneath it, go up the hill in the tractor, just stinky body armor smell, mud everywhere.
yeah,
You know, goggles are all fogged up,
yeah,
but everyone's stoked. And when you're that young and you're listening to some of the stories some of the older boys are talking about,
yeah,
and you're just like, wow,
yeah,
that actually happens. Like, can't
yeah.
wait to get older.
No,
So
mega.
yeah, probably 13 years old.
And
Um,
and
but
who
yeah,
was there some lads in your sort of category that went on, to be successful like you at that time? Who were your first mates you sort of got at the mountain biking?
well, one of well, I had some good friends from surrounding like Macclesfield area,
Uh-huh.
but and I made really good friends with Rat from an early age because we were at Care Zeus once,
Were you
and
same year, you guys?
yeah, it was like
Yeah.
a month between us.
Okay.
So there was me, Rat, and Joe Smith, all the same age.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we were sat on an uplift heading up for a race run, and I was chatting to Rat, and I was like, "Oh, so where are you from?" He's like, "Oh, I'm from a place near Manchester." I'm like, "No way, me too." And it turns out we're like 10 miles apart. So after the race, we swapped like home phone numbers on a piece of paper
Yeah.
and then started hanging out from then.
Amazing.
That's like nearly 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
So pretty strong. Um,
And what year would that have been, Sam? Like,
I think like 13, 03, 04.
okay. Yeah.
So like you starting to race juvenile
Yeah.
category.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, but then we were pretty fortunate really because there was the three of us. There was other fast guys too, but us three went right from juvenile to
Right
you
through.
know through to when we now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, like we all went to our first World Cup about the same time and world champs and
What I mean,
yeah
what was your first world champs? Because obviously I know there's Val de Sola was there, and Rat won. You were second. Second.
yeah
That was a
uh,
crack day.
won it. That
Yeah.
was fun. Um, well, year before '07 Fort Bill.
Fort Billow. Okay. Yeah.
But I never actually raced because I had a huge one in
Right.
the qualifying run.
Okay.
Um, Jumped that Tissot jump,
Yeah.
and then there's that big fadeaway, isn't there?
Yeah.
And I went off the fadeaway, and I just became like light. And one of my feet, I was riding flats. One of my feet came off the pedal, so when
Oh.
I hit the compression at the bottom, like all my weight was on one pedal, and it sort of like high sided me and slapped me into the ground.
Mm,
Big knockout, slid like 20 feet in a skin suit.
mm.
Talk about, yeah, skin suits. But yeah, sliding along the road, and there is a video of it somewhere, and you can see Ed just bouncing off every rock. Um, and yeah, that was at about 1 p.m. and I came to it in the hospital, and it was like 8 p.m.
Jesus, I didn't know.
I,
No, that was that.
yeah, yeah, it was a big one,
No
but
way.
no one really told me how bad it was at the time. So stayed in hospital that night, got out the next day, and I think it was like Four Cross Worlds, and I broke my collarbone, but it was seen like super lucky to just have a broken collarbone from that crash because
Yeah.
I had a stack of X-rays like this thick, like all my back, head, neck, rib.
Yeah.
They went mad, and because I couldn't really talk to them, they
Yeah.
didn't know what was up with me, so they were just scanning everything.
Right. Right.
But yeah, day after got out and just went to Morrison's and got 6-pack of Magners and went to watch the four cross. And I
No.
remember running down the street with my arm here. Collarbone was in like 3 or 4 bits, and I wasn't even aware that anything had happened. It's
No
kind
way.
of funny. Yeah,
Well, these days you'd have about 18 months off racing, wouldn't you? Because
definitely. Yeah,
flipping anyone bangs their head these days, which I'm sure it's the sensible thing to do. But yeah, it
yeah.
seems.
Back then it was just like, get up, lad,
Yeah, I know.
brush it off. You'll be right next week.
Yeah, yeah, definitely a bit different now, and the like the.
Yeah,
I remember landing on my head quite a few times in a Troy Lee D1. It's literally a flipping lampshade's about as protective as one of them things.
yeah, yeah. I was in a D2, which is a bit of an upgrade from the D1, but I've still got it at home somewhere, and it's not in a pretty way.
No, but yeah, it's just things have moved on and times have changed, haven't they? But uh,
Yeah,
well, tell us a little bit about that that Worlds in Val di Sole, because obviously that was actually the first year I was running a race team, and I remember, we I don't know if you would have gone, but we all went out at the start of that year. There was like a
yeah.
test
The test
race.
event.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you
and that was
know
the
that?
best. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was probably one of the best tracks ever.
Yeah.
It was top to bottom Loma,
Yeah.
basically. They
Yeah.
just taped some trees together
Yeah.
and sent us down it, and it was inches and inches of dust.
Is what you
And
want.
oh mate, it was the best. And
Yeah.
then come back for World Champs later that year, and a lot of the dust had gone.
Mm.
And it was still relatively fresh, but nothing like it was that first time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. When you're a junior and you get asked to go to World Champs, it's a bit like, oh, we're going on a lads' holiday sort of thing. And it was kind of funny, like giddy young lads. Me, Josh, I think Joe Smith and Danny were meant to be sharing a room.
Right.
And after 2 nights, it was just me and Josh in there because Joe and Danny had enough. But then we get the elites coming down to hang in our room. It was a
Yeah.
cool place to be. We had
Yeah.
the PSPs with the MX versus ATV
Oh yeah. Yeah.
racing game. So we'd
Yeah.
just be hanging out, playing that.
Yeah.
Ben Caffro was amazing at it.
Was he?
Yeah, he used the clutch and everything.
Maybe that's why he's so good at doing all this tech line stuff for Pink Bite now.
Yeah, a lot of gaming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps.
Fair play.
But
Uh,
yeah, that was that. And then it was just like a big treat. Like Val di Sole's beautiful place.
yeah.
I was riding for Cannondale at the time.
Mm.
My mechanic was Giacomo,
Was that
who
was that Cannondale program then? Was that like an American program or European program, or how did that work exactly?
yeah, it was Cannondale Factory Racing.
Yeah.
So it was run by Daniel Hespler,
Yeah.
who was German,
Hmm.
based out of Stuttgart. And I
Yeah.
think he still does the XC thing.
Yeah.
Oh, he did last time I seen him.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was me, Duncan Riffle,
Hmm.
and Use the Boost Witchman.
Used to boost
Yeah,
neck. Yeah.
yeah. And it was wicked. Yeah,
Yeah.
really, really fun.
And then
Learned a lot.
yeah, because you've rode for some big teams, big programs. I wanted to ask you about, but some very different programs as well. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
you went so from that Cannondale team. Where did you move to from that one?
Well, after that, I was due to stay with Cannondale, but it was 2008, so the credit crunch
Yeah.
recession and all that happened. So um, there wasn't any Cannondale factory racing. So I was privateer. Um, yeah, in '09. And
Yeah.
then 2010, still a privateer, but I was riding. Was it the Mondraker? I think it was. Mondraker had just come out with that Summon,
Yeah.
which was a great bike. Still probably is. Like the current Mondraker doesn't look much different to it. So, yeah, that was 2010. 11 then rode for Sun Montgenèvre
Yeah.
with Camellini.
Yeah. I was.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about that because I couldn't. Obviously, I've had quite a few different characters on the team, but I had
Yeah.
Camille, I had Julian on the team with Kovarik, and you couldn't get any. Like, obviously, I learned loads of stuff about running a team from the
Yeah.
mistakes and stuff, and you know they were both super fast dudes, but um, so different. Like you couldn't
Yeah.
get more
They
different.
couldn't be more different.
No, no. Like Chris, I remember Chris just looking at me because we were at Mont St. Anne and Julian woke up in the morning, like he was upstairs, I was downstairs, you know, in them big brown buildings that they had near the track.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was downstairs with Dave Garland and I don't know who else was mechanicking and the riders were, I know Julian was upstairs. I got up to go and make a coffee in the morning, and I heard Julian shout, "Nigel, Nigel!" I was like, "Fuck, what's up, mate?" Like, you know, I thought he
What's happened? Yeah.
broke his leg or something, fell out of bed. I need an haircut, he said. Haircut. This was the like 2 days before the race, and I'm like, "What do you mean you need an haircut?" Yeah, I need a haircut, and I was like, "Fucking hell!" Right, thought right. We'll have a team family trip to Quebec. You know, have a walk around town and stuff, and Julian can get his hair cut, whatever. Keep him happy. Anyway, he comes out of the hairdressers, literally look like someone had brushed his hair. They look the same.
Took
I've
two
got
mil off it.
2 centimeters. He told me I have had 2 centimeters cut off, and he was dead happy about that. And then
Awesome.
me and Chris were walking down the main street. Julian come out, went off into a shop, came out of this shop, and you know, remember Chris? He literally didn't wear anything that wasn't black. Remember his
Yeah. Yeah.
shorts and his hoodies and that. Julian come out in some white jeans, and, and Chris, honestly, he, d- I, d- I've never seen anyone as confused in my life. He was just looking at me and looking at Kathleen, and he's just like couldn't understand him.
Thought he was going for a day on the paintbrushes.
But but what? So what? Sorry, I went on a bit there. But
That's
what
a good one.
like you? What was it like being on a team with Julian? Because you're quite different to him, I think.
Yeah, it was awesome to be fair.
Yeah.
Like he took me under his wing because he's so professional, and I
Mm.
was still pretty young, and yeah, I wanted to do well, but didn't really know how to at the time.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, he just knew. Yeah, he's a racer,
Yeah.
a proper racer, and he.
I met
Um,
lovely lad, like
oh yeah,
and proper talent.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and he showed that. He was like having a big brother. You know, Duncan Riffle too. He looked after me a lot when I was a junior.
Okay.
Um, and then him and Camellini, I guess, closer to each other than Camellini and Kovarik.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
pretty clean,
Yeah.
look after themselves, very particular in what they do.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, like riding with Julian was awesome. He's so fast.
So fast, isn't he?
Yeah, incredibly fast. And he'd be like, we'd do track walk, and he's like, this corner, no brakes.
Right.
So in practice, I'm like, right, I'm not braking. And every lap, I'd just touch the brakes. So I'd go back, I'm like, are you no braking that corner? He's like, no brakes. And he wouldn't brake.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was like, I remember the track it was like a little bit of goat trail. It was skinny,
Yeah.
kind of blind, like cut into the hill. So if you went off,
Yeah.
you're down in the
Big,
jungle.
big and
And yeah, he'd just pin it. And I think he might have finished. I'm pretty sure he's on the podium,
Mm-hmm.
second or third. He might have won qualifying or something, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was
And
so
yeah, and he'd do. He'd make this special. I don't know if he did it when he was with you, but race day cake.
yeah,
It's like sports chocolate cake,
yeah. A
and he
big
just
thing.
yeah, and that'd be his lunch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
forgot about
race day cake, bro, and
that.
it
Yeah,
works. You know, he let me have some sometimes.
really.
Yeah, have a bit of this, mate.
Only after you told him you were breaking.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you need the cake.
Forgot
No,
about
but
the cake. Yeah,
he's into his moto,
yeah,
not Moto GP, but
yeah,
fast motorcycle racing now, isn't he?
yeah.
And I
Is
can see him being really good at that, just because he's like precision is there, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He was super, super professional, and trained hard, and like you say, everything was prepared. I remember another time we got there, and but so different to UK dudes. You know what I mean? Like we we um we were in an airport one time where we kind of met half. Sort of we all flew to one airport and then all met up in it
Yeah, yeah.
else. And we were walking around the airport looking for him. The next minute, I'm like, oh, he's over there. And he was literally just sat in the airport with his pants round his ankles in his skin tight white undies with all the electrode things on his legs, and his legs were just flashing. But didn't care because it was going to
Yeah,
make faster.
yeah,
Whereas
it was.
most UK dudes, you just wouldn't do that, would you? Because you'd feel stupid. Do you know what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, he
That
didn't.
reminds me actually. I think he might have qualified first that race in Africa.
Yeah,
And like, yeah, something might have happened in the race run, which he wasn't happy about. So on the flight home, he bought one of them big bags of Milky Way little
oh,
mini
yeah,
chocolate bars, and
yeah.
he ate them all.
Oh,
He was like, I've put all this effort in.
so
I've had a bit of shit luck, so I'm gonna eat all these Milky Ways.
yeah,
And that was his like way of signing it off,
yeah,
finish with it, right on to the next one.
yeah. And then he would have been back to his strict routine.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, pants down,
yeah,
electrodes on,
yeah,
no brakes.
yeah. Brilliant, brilliant. Uh,
Yeah, he'd be good to get on here
yeah, definitely got to get him on.
because
Yeah,
he's recently a father, isn't he?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It'd be
Doing
great.
motorbike racing, a lot of road racing, road bike riding. I see.
He always did loads of that on the team. Like he'd always talk to me about what he just got some new wheels for his road bike that were about 4 grand or something. And uh,
Yeah,
yeah, I didn't. I'd never even have a road bike. I didn't know what he was talking about, but
yeah,
he's dead into it. Like,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
but so after that program, what was where did you move on to after that one?
Oh yeah. So 2011, son, halfway through the well, not even halfway through the year. Um, just after the first round, Sun announced that they were bankrupt.
Hmm.
Um,
That would have been the second time, wouldn't it?
yeah, yeah. Um, but the way it worked in France was the banks would give them like bail them out and give them like 2 years to try and get this shit in a pile
Right.
to see what happens. So they could still fund um, a lot of the expenses getting us to races.
Hmm.
Well, we could still race a season, but because the company had been in a bit of a pickle, there was no one making frames. So we had like the last 6 downhill frames, and they were all a bit broken, let's say.
Yeah.
Um, so we ended up buying. We had a choice. We were like, oh, should we buy like a team decision? We could buy Santa Cruz. We could get anything we wanted, but we
Right.
ended up buying transitions.
Oh yeah, I remember that now.
Um, yeah, so we ended up racing them for the rest of that 2011 season.
Yeah.
And then the team closed for 2012, but we'd established a relationship with Lars and everyone at Transition.
Yeah.
So I got on a frame deal with them.
Right.
Raced as a privateer.
Yeah.
Uh,
Did you
but yeah,
get
I think,
did you
go
get
on.
help from some of your other sponsors to go towards your expenses and all that with that? How,
Yeah, a little bits, but um, yeah, I mean, I could do a full season on about 7 grand,
yeah.
which isn't a lot of money if you're careful with it, you know. But that's sleeping in the van,
Yeah.
driving everywhere yourself.
Yeah.
The big one would be going to Canada
Yeah.
because that'd cost you best. Well, it costs you whatever it costs you.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I could do a World Cup season on 7, I'd
Yeah.
say. Which, if you got a few bikes from the year before, a
Yeah.
few spares, you know, you could sell them, do a bit of work in the off season, get a bit from sponsors here and there.
Mm.
You can make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, 2012. But that was the year I got my first top 10
Mm-hmm. And where was
at
that?
Fort Bill.
At Bill, yeah.
I think I was 8th,
Yeah.
but I remember I was just having a mint weekend, and the day before the race, I got shit on by a bird. I was walking through Fort William car park, and the little bird nugget on shoulder,
That's good
and
luck, isn't it?
straight away I was like, mint, I've done well. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do mint tomorrow because I've been blessed by this bird. So
Do you reckon that's what Bruni does at Worlds? Just
yeah,
walks
just
around looking for pigeons.
yeah, just sits under the tree, just like, hey, the bird. And then yeah, that night I sat in the van with my old man and Harry Heath's dad, and we had like 3 nice old ales each. I
Nice.
remember one was a super dark chocolatey one,
Yeah.
and you know we were just chilling,
Yeah.
and then bit of bird shit on the shoulder, 3 beers,
Laughing. Top 10.
yeah, top 10. You know, privateer, World Cup,
Yeah.
Fort Bill. So I was buzzing, and then that got me a place on the world's team for Leogang,
Yeah.
and I think ended up 12th there or something.
Good result.
Um, yeah, pretty happy, you know.
Yeah.
I I'd be stoked if privateers were doing that these days.
Well, I was just going to say that, like, we discussed it a bit earlier about how hard I think it is to get into that level, and it's going to get harder as a privateer.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you were coming eighth at a World Cup and 12th at World Champs, you wouldn't be a privateer for much longer nowadays, would you? You'd
no,
snapped up onto a pretty good program. But I guess, like, there's there's been a few um, guys the last couple of years that have kind of shone through, and that's happened for them, like that Lackey Stevens McNabb, and
yeah,
a few other guys have actually made it on. But I just hope that they don't ruin that for people, like yourself and them to be able to do that,
yeah. It's important to keep them fresh faces coming in, isn't it?
Yeah, because you've got guys that have done other things before they've started mountain biking and been, good athletes or good at whatever, and they're just naturally going to be good at it. Doesn't
Yeah,
Whereas they might, everyone's looking for the new youth junior rider to bring through, but there's going to be dudes out there that start a bit later that are going to have the skills that, you know.
yeah. Like you say, there's going to be a couple of pro skiers
Yeah,
that are
yeah,
going to be like, oh, I can ride a bike.
yeah,
And they're used to doing triple backflips off 50-foot drops or whatever.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so, yeah, it's important to be able to have fresh faces, isn't it?
for sure, mate.
Keep it mixed up.
Yeah. And so did them results then, get you noticed for some tips,
Yeah,
starting to get some guys asking you then?
yeah. I ended up signing for Madison Saracen.
And was that obviously, at that time, I think Will always was part of the GB Worlds program, wasn't he, for the downhill? Uh,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
seems like people that had done well at Worlds seem to get the opportunity to ride for Will's team after that, like yourself, Matt Simmons. Uh,
Yeah, true.
yeah. So how did that come about, and how was the experience on that team? Because you had some really good results on that team, didn't you?
Yeah, like 2012, I mean, I was privateer, but I had a good bike, I had good suspension, I had good components, I had race kit that made me feel like I looked good. So
Yeah.
that's always a bonus.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
In it, if you're in the start line and you feel like you look mint, you're just like easy.
Yeah.
Got bird shit on me, nice kit.
Was it?
What can go wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
I'd
but
normally
yeah,
shit on me instead, and that's not good luck.
but yeah, and then after, I mean, I was training hard too. Like I was in Morzine a lot in that summer of 2012, leading up to World Champs and that.
Yeah.
And I'd go running down by the river in the mornings, and they had those little workout stations. I'd do me sit ups and me
Oh,
little jumps over a log and stuff.
I've
Um,
literally just been there with Harrison.
yeah, it's pretty fun, isn't it, down there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I was in good shape, but then yeah, I got on the Madison team, and with that came training with Alan Milway,
Right.
which was pretty sick, to be fair.
Yeah.
Um, and I'd trained with Stefan Girard in the past
Hmm.
when I was on the Sun thing.
Yeah.
But with Milway, we'd actually go to the Birmingham University and go in the gym in the morning and the lab in the afternoon, or
Right.
vice versa. I can't remember. But it was super professional.
Hmm.
Everything was recorded, so you could see how well you were improving. Um, yeah, and I learned loads there, which was sweet, which helped my riding.
And
Yeah,
and what do you think? For people that might not have been at that level or actually had a proper training program. I mean, I never had a proper training program or trainer or anything, and that's probably why. Well, no, not the only reason. You've got the skills as well, but what what do you think that do? Obviously, you're a mega bike rider anyway. You're a big, strong lad, which
yeah,
helps with downhill. But what extra do you think that gave you? Was it the physical performance that improved that much, or was it because you'd done that? It helped your head as well. Is it a mixture of?
yeah, yeah. Definitely both. Like just to get on a exercise bike, well, the watt bike things, and see how much power you can put out. Like I think it was over 2 horsepower I
So you
did
put that
once.
with 2,000 watts.
Yeah,
There's not a lot of dudes that do that, is there?
no, but then my power to weight wasn't that great because I was around 100 kilograms.
Right. Okay.
So
I,
I was always like trying to get stronger but lose weight.
I can't imagine
Um,
Rat was doing 2,000 watts,
Probably not. No.
but he was
Um,
medium light.
yeah, a little lighter. So
Yeah.
it's all horses for courses too, isn't it?
Hmm.
And like now, I don't think Jackson does 2,000 watts, but
Probably
he's a
can't
little,
200.
yeah, little fella. But
He's
it's there's a lot
insane.
of small guys going well at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But yeah, the training, like to just have it on paper, like you are this strong,
yeah,
is a
just
bit of
make
a
you feel
yeah.
fast.
You oh man, yeah, I'm strong.
Yeah.
Trainer says I'm strong, so sweet.
Yeah.
But then having it organised, so you like have your goal. I want to win a race, so I want to be in the top. My goal is like top 10 World Cups because
Yeah.
that's what I thought I was capable of. So
Hmm.
um, yeah, to then have sit down with a trainer and be like, well, I feel like I could. I'm a bit fatigued on a Sunday, so
Hmm.
it's like right, let's get some big road miles in this winter,
Okay.
or my arms are tired, or my shoulders, or I feel like upper body strength could be better. She's like, yeah, right, we'll do this. This is the goal. These are the steps to the goal.
Hmm.
So it's like do X amount of stretching each week. Yeah, done that. Do this many squats. Yeah, done that. Do some plyometrics. Yeah. I've done all this.
Yeah.
So the next thing is achieving my goal, and I'm 90% of the way there. So I've basically done it.
Yeah.
So then you've got this plan, and then you have a plan for the race weekend as well,
And
and
would
you
Mill
just
let
tick.
you do that?
He'd help with it.
Right.
Yeah, I learned more of that off Phil Dixon in later years.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, you put it all in place, do everything, and like I was aware of my own ability. So it's like, well, I've done everything I need to do to get to here. So all I need to do is do what I know I can do, which
Yeah.
is set off, go
Yeah.
out the start, and ride my bike down the hill, and it would work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Brilliant.
yeah.
And
Um,
who were your teammates on Madison Saracen that year?
Harry Malloy, Phil
Yeah.
Atwell,
Yeah.
Manon.
Yeah.
I think that's it
Okay.
for like the World Cup group.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then the year after, Simmons joined,
Yeah.
and then we were together for 2 seasons, Matt and I,
Hmm.
and then I went to GT
So
after that.
you were on that program for 3 years,
Yeah, 3 full seasons.
and I remember you getting obviously you got the podium at Lord
Lords.
when
Yeah,
Mike Jones was on the podium for our team with you. Um,
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
you got a podium at South Africa, didn't you?
No,
Were you sick there or something?
sixth. I had a huge crash through after the finish line. I'd executed a pretty nice run, and like Africa's a funny one. I had that like big flat BMX style section, and yeah, I didn't think I'd do well because I always saw myself as like more of a technical, like get me on some muddy,
Yeah,
slippy off camber, and that's where I'd excel, sort of thing.
but you had
So
power,
going to
so you could pedal.
yeah, yeah, I could pedal, and I had a bit of weight behind me,
Hmm.
so if I was up to speed, I could carry it, and that track sort of helps that.
Yeah,
But like in the motorway bit, I remember I was just coming into jumps, sort of tucked, and like landing them perfect on the knuckles, getting that nice pump, and then as the bike had compressed and as the bike was standing up, I just start pedaling.
yeah, yeah.
But none of it felt rushed. It
Right.
just
Okay.
felt right.
Yeah.
Um, got to the bottom, had a hugie through the line. Like
Hmm.
I crossed the line, and when you do your lunge,
Yeah. You just
did a bit of a lunge. Well, I grabbed a bit of front brake, and there was some tiny ruts, like not big, and it just took my front wheel.
yeah,
And there's a crash, a picture of the crash, and I'm still clipped in, like arms are out like that, bike's above my head, and sick Mick was in the hot seat,
yeah, yeah,
and he's just looking at it, watching it all unfold. And I crashed all the way through the finish area thing, and landed like at the feet of the video guy with his big camera, just looking at me. I'd knee pad around the ankle, sort of thing, grazed my knee a bit,
yeah,
still out of breath from the run. Just
yeah,
like what has just happened? Like,
yeah,
where am I? So that was season opener as well.
yeah. I remember that, and
Um,
you had quite a few top tens at the start of that year, didn't you?
yeah, and the year after, and
Yeah,
that's where when I realised I was getting a bit not like burnt out, but just I'd come into a season after I'd been in a good routine,
mm,
and everything was in order and whatnot. But then I think I get tired from all the travelling and stuff like that,
right.
and all the political stuff as well. Um, so like mid season, I'd not be over it. I'd still want to do well, but it'd become more frustrating,
Right.
and I could still get good results, but yeah, for some reason, the start of the years I'd do better.
When it was kind of fresher, like, and you,
Yeah, fresh, and I was excited to be there, and
yeah,
yeah,
Mm.
And then yeah, sort of yeah, I don't know how to say it really. Didn't lose the love for it, but I wouldn't be that excited to go away, if you know what I mean.
Wasn't like the
And
be all and end all for everything. Like,
nah, then I'd be looking forward to going home.
yeah,
I'd be like, oh yeah, let's get this race run done so we can go home. Or go and party.
I think just from working with different riders and seeing different things and being away myself, I think like if it gets to that point, you're not going to win, are you?
Nah,
It's no matter how good you are, you're not going to win. You
no.
got to want to be there and do it more than anything else, haven't you?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, like there's probably 100 guys that are well, more than 100 that are world class
Yeah,
athletes, but you can be 30th place
yeah,
and you're 3 seconds behind fifth
yeah.
over a 3 minute track.
Yeah. It's
So it's
not
like 1 second every 60,
mad, isn't it?
which is nothing. But to have the drive to get that 1 second a minute quicker,
Yeah,
you've got to risk a lot more. Well, you just got to put everything aside. You're like, I need to be point 0.1 of a second faster than them,
yeah,
or faster than my last run,
yeah,
or and
yeah.
like, how am I going to do that? Yeah. So yeah, if you're not 120% committed, then yeah, like you're saying, it's yeah, I don't think you can do it,
No, I agree.
whoever you are.
No,
Yeah,
and so obviously, Willow has had a very professional program.
yeah, yeah,
Times I've spent with Will is like he's not really a big party guy after at the end of the day, is he? He doesn't he's quite does his job, and he can be wild, but he's
yeah,
quite,
and yeah,
you know what I mean. Probably a bit more sensible in a lot of his day-to-day stuff than maybe a few other people, probably
others,
myself. Um,
yeah,
but um, I imagine that everything was, good. Good. You had everything in place on that team to perform well, but then when you moved over to the GT team, I imagine it was quite different, but like a good crack. Is that fair to say, or what? How?
yeah, yeah, definitely. Well,
Yeah.
with the Madison thing, it ended up I felt like I couldn't really be myself.
Okay.
Like I got a podium at a national and I wore a little black beanie, said Fox on it, like Fox suspension. We were sponsored by Fox,
Right.
but I got told I looked scruffy on the podium.
Goodbye.
I don't need to. Well,
The
I
team.
will. Yeah. Well, he'd been told by someone higher up,
Okay.
and yeah, I might have looked scruffy, but
It's
I'm a bit of a scruffy guy, you know.
downhill. It's a downhill race. You need to be
Yeah,
road
I'm
and
like it's. I think it was Fort Bill. It's like we're in Scotland. It's April. It's cold.
yeah,
I'm on the podium. I'm gonna wear a beanie because I wear one every day.
yeah.
Like, what's the problem?
What
But
were
it wasn't.
you supposed to wear? Like, was there a rule in your team?
Well, an official team hat,
Right.
and I think it may be a baseball cap. I don't know. And
Right.
then another time I did when Dirt TV was really going off.
Yeah.
I did like a post qualifying chat. And I was on my spin bike and I was wearing an animal clothing t-shirt because that was our casual clothing sponsor.
Okay.
And did like a 3 or 4 minute chat with Ben Winder. And it was kind of funny, when the little interview goes well and you're giggling and cracking jokes with one another. And then we did it, and then Will come over and was like, "You're gonna have to do that again. You're not wearing Madison clothing." And Madison clothing was the riding outfit. sponsorship, and because I was on a bike, I had to be wearing the Madison clothing,
Wow.
not the casual thing.
Wow.
And yeah, yeah. I mean, it's super professional, but it doesn't work for everyone.
Yeah, no, I can understand both
Both
sides.
sides.
I,
Yeah. Me too, looking back at it. But at the time,
yeah,
you're
I mean,
just like, what?
well, I was never that strict on our team. Maybe I should have been more strict in certain areas, but like you say, I kind of wanted people to be themselves, and that's what makes, in my opinion, makes a team cool. That you've got different characters, and you know I'd much see your personality in you look right in a beanie, whereas if you had a team Formula One cap on, I couldn't really see you wearing that. You know what I mean?
In a set of white jeans
Yeah.
and some shit flickers or something.
I mean, funnily enough, that you're saying that, when I was running the team, I basically got to, make most of the decisions. I didn't have people on my back too much, but I
Yeah, yeah,
did an interview at a race about a pre-race interview for the team and who I thought was going to do well on the team and that kind of shit for our team video. Uh,
yeah,
and yeah, my ex boss messaged me and said I looked scruffy because I hadn't had a shave, and I was thinking,
yeah,
like a downhill race. It's like you know
yeah. What
everyone,
does a bit of facial hair matter?
everyone's scruffy at a downhill race, aren't they?
Yeah,
It's that's
well,
that's the beauty of downhill. It's like people, loads of different people that are all from different backgrounds and different looks and different big dudes, small dudes, skinny dudes, bigger dudes. Everyone.
yeah,
So it's a sport that allows so many different people to be good at it, isn't it?
yeah. And
Yeah.
like variety is the spice of life, isn't it? If we're all Loic Bruni, not saying he's boring her out, but if we're all Bruni,
Yeah,
it'd be
yeah,
pretty boring.
it's
But when you watch Bruni do his thing in his way, in
yeah,
his
it's
outfit,
great,
whatever,
isn't it?
you're like, hats off to him. He's
Yeah.
executing it like a champ.
Oh, unbelievable, yeah. But then
Yeah,
Jackson Goldstone, who, the current crop, who's totally different to him. You know,
yeah,
I really like Amory Pirion because he's a bit wild and he's flipping a bit crazy on the bike, and there's plenty of other dudes that are different and all get it done. So yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah.
anyway,
So
so
yeah,
so
so when I went to GT, it was like I was with a real good group of like-minded people.
so who
None
was
of
that
that.
first year on G? Who were you with that first year on GT? Just for everybody.
Win, um, Brooke, and Jackson through.
Okay.
That was like the downhill
Yeah.
squad sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then Martin Mays, Rachel Fruit, Rachel Straight,
Yeah.
um, and Anika Beaton.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was a
Yeah.
pretty big setup when we were all at a race together.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that was perfect environment for me. But I just I needed a different bike, really. Well,
The
we
bike,
all did.
is it that bad, the bike, compared to what you're on before?
It wasn't necessarily that bad, but you're trying to compete for tenths of seconds,
Yeah.
and yeah, it wasn't anyone's fault on the team. It was more, well, I don't know whose fault it was. Um, we were promised new bikes, they didn't show up, and then we were practicing at Fort Bill World Cup on this new bike we'd never ridden before,
Hmm.
and we were getting bottom outs where the swing arm had hit the front triangle because whoever had welded the frames welded the shock mount in the wrong place. So it was like a 60.5 degree head angle. And if you'd had a big hit, yeah, it would be the harshest feeling in your ankles, just metal on metal, just bang. And you weren't even using all the shock.
So
So
you
it was
weren't getting
like,
full travel, like.
No, it was just shock, 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 metal. And we were like, what is going on, you know?
Yeah.
So then it was just like really hard to be motivated.
And
And it kind of,
how did
go
it work
on.
with DT and the bikes? Like, so, with our team, we say what we wanted, and they were good at, making what we kind of wanted. It's like, did
Yeah.
you guys get to sort of help design the new bikes, or did GT just make a new bike, say this is your bike and this is what you're riding, sort of thing?
Well, we were on the old ones, and all the input we put towards the new ones didn't get made until after I'd done my 2 years there. And it was
Right.
that third year that they came out with the new one.
So,
But I think Win was the only one left of the originals that actually got to ride the bike that we helped, like, well, we put in feedback for, sort of thing.
so I remember when they came out with that polished, literally just a single pivot bike. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, well, they did that to get away from the iDrive thing
Okay.
because that it made your bottom bracket swings. It might have pedaled well, but when you're charging and like used to being like the 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 point between your pedals and your handlebars normally stays the same.
And that was
Whereas
new.
on this, yeah, I think it rocked a bit. So it's not much, but if you're doing 40 mile an hour through a forest and there's roots and rocks and big holes and you're going flat out and then
Yeah, it
yeah,
felt
it's just
cool.
yeah. So yeah, they brought out the single pivot
Yeah.
as a quick fix.
But it didn't even have a
To
lift, did it?
no, it was literally a single pivot where the swing arm hit the front triangle. So yeah, it was hard to be motivated as well for that, and to be willing to risk, do higher risk for no reward. Like I felt that if I'd had like the run of my life, I'd be on the edge of a top 10
Right, right.
if everything had gone perfect.
Yeah,
I think Brooks' best result, he might have had one top 10,
right.
but he would implode nearly every week,
Yeah,
and it's only him that could get away with it, really.
yeah, yeah.
And
Mm.
then his first race after that was in Croatia, where he won time training, won qualifying, and then he broke his collarbone in race. But
Yeah.
that just, to me, I wasn't at that race, but it kind of showed me that it wasn't a load of shit that we were all
Mm.
complaining, talking about.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, if you put average Joe on the bike, he would have gone, yeah, this is an awesome downhill bike. But,
Not
you're
for a while.
competing for best in the world.
Yeah,
It's not a,
yeah.
it's not a ride down Bringewood.
More like be a decent bike now for just a weekend warrior park rider, like uplift and downhill.
Yeah, something with a lot of travel.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, 2 years there, and it was like a 2 year plus one contract. So if I was meeting my expectations, then I would have done a third year there. But I remember being told that like if you're not in top five, we're gonna struggle to renew your contract. And I'm just like, well,
That's
there's
it
not
then.
a lot I can do about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, so and people were trying to tell me I was getting old and stuff like that, but
And how old were you then?
uh, 26 maybe.
No way.
Yeah,
Prime age for doing.
and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then yeah, the year after I was on Santa Cruz, and that's how I ended up on Santa Cruz.
How did
And
that sound like? How did that deal come about?
well, Alan Cook at the time worked at Santa Cruz,
Yeah.
and he was hanging out with Rat and Loose a bunch
Mhm.
because they were doing all the enduro-y things as a team.
Yeah.
And I went and raced finale EWS,
Yeah.
And at that, on the beach one evening, Alan was like, "Oh, I heard you want to race some good bikes next year."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love to."
Yeah.
So got a bit of a frame deal going that way, and yeah, I reached out to Shimano and they helped me out a bunch, and yeah, just you know a lot of people in the industry and managed to get some bikes together, and um, yeah, got doing a bit more racing for the year after.
Bit more of
But
a
then I had
privateer deal again.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Was that hard after being on like, doing 5 years of a big factory team ride?
Eh, a tiny bit, but not really. It
You've
was refreshing, to be honest.
done it before, so you're not
Yeah, and then
gets down on stuff, and you get stuck into whatever you do, don't you? So I can imagine it wasn't as bad as.
yeah, and then all the stuff that comes with being on a team, like wearing the wrong hat and stuff like that. I didn't have to worry about anything
Yeah.
like that, other than even as far as like bike setup. I've never been a super fussy person.
Yeah.
So as long as I could get on it and the bike would respond how I was used to it responding,
Yeah.
I could go
Go.
fast.
Yeah.
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 But then that's when I crashed at Fort Bill and did my collarbone on that
Because what
stinky wall ride. Yeah.
you
I was top 10 at the first two splits in quali.
that's it. Yeah. And then you flipping went on that
Slid out.
wood.
Yeah. Wet wood, man.
What made you go up there? Like, because not a lot of people hit that in the race run.
Yeah, I'd always hit it every run because I was sure I could generate speed from it.
In it and
Because
pump it down.
yeah, it's like railing a berm.
Yeah.
You know, you could carve up it and use your upward momentum to like turn off of it, and then I could let my hands do that a couple of times with my hands before that next bit of track.
No.
And I'd won that. I'd won the motorway thing a few times.
Yeah. So you knew
So
you.
I'd got through the top good, through the woods good. Coming into the wall ride, I could see a guy in front, and I was trying to see. I was like, "Why are you there? Like, you shouldn't. The track should be clear."
Yeah.
So I was trying to see what was wrong with his bike, and just sort of turned a bit late into the wall ride and carved extra hard on it, and it just slid and
Yeah.
collarbone. And
Yeah.
that was so. I don't want to say the end of my downhill career, but I came back. Well, collarbone fixed. Might have done another race that year. Um, but then it was for the year after I was really fired up
Hmm.
for racing, and then I'm pretty sure that's when COVID hit.
Yeah.
Because I drove to Portugal
Yeah.
to do a few nationals before lose the World Cup, and as I got there, they cancelled the race, and
Yeah.
like 2 days later, they started doing lockdown.
Yeah. I mean, COVID. I think COVID it changed the direction of quite a few riders. That I've seen. Um, was that a big factor? Do you think having that whole year off of not really going racing and stuff? Because when you're racing every year, it's a big change in it.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I don't like first World Cup was '07.
Yeah,
Pandemic was what end of 19, start of 20.
it's a long time
So
to race downhill, isn't it?
yeah, and I'd been the longest I'd spent at home in that time was 4 months.
Yeah,
Um, in however many years. So then to go and do a full year at home, like where I grew up, um, was pretty mint to be fair. You know, you can watch a tree get its leaves
yeah,
April, May. You're like, wow, it's got a bit more, few more leaves today. Whereas when I was racing, I'd disappear
yeah,
for 2 or 3 weeks, come back, and it'd all be green. You're like, oh, it's green now.
yeah.
But to be in one place and getting a nice routine, it's pretty hard to beat. Like traveling's pretty tiring, I find.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it definitely changed my view on it all. And then also being a privateer at the time, it was hard to like we had such basic things we couldn't do, but then it was seemed okay to go for me to get a letter from British Cycling
Yeah.
and go. I could drive halfway across Europe to do a bike race,
Mm.
but you couldn't walk into Sainsbury's without wearing a mask or
I
couldn't go
mean,
at the pub.
but
People are going out of business because they're not allowed to open, but I was allowed to go and race my bike. So it all just seemed a bit odd. And for me, if I'm going to go and do something, I want to be like focused into it, sort of thing. Um, so yeah, it just made me, well, just a bit of a, sit back, see what's going on,
yeah,
change your path a little bit, but I'm still a bike rider.
that year you came and spent a bit of time at my old house and built the track and in the digger and stuff. You know, I knew you from the races and, always chatted to you and knew you as a good bike rider. But what I saw from you, that time when you're at my house is just, well, one, how much of a good dude you are. Secondly, how chilled you are, but also how much of
Nice one.
a grafter you are. You totally
Right, yeah.
you like one of the most least lazy people I've ever met. Um, and you just give a good vibe off, and I think like that must have been a big part.
Nice one, man.
Oh yeah, you're just a good dude, but you like I think that the way you are was helped you be such a successful bike racer as well, and I'm sure going back now, you know over time, it would have been amazing to have you on one of my teams, but unfortunately that didn't happen, and yeah,
Yeah, we
just
chatted about it a few times, didn't we?
yeah, there's always I was really bad at getting rid of riders because I know how hard it is and how much effort they're all putting in. And I think
Well, yeah,
that,
100%.
that was one of my weak points of being a team manager. I think whereas like I could have got rid of riders some years and swapped for say you, but I always felt so bad getting rid of people when, different story if they weren't putting any effort in or they were being a complete dickhead. But if they were just nice, good dudes trying their hardest,
Yeah.
wanted to keep hoping that they were gonna, achieve what we were all hoping for. And yeah, I guess I should have done a bit more of that. But anyway, um, yeah,
Well, but like you're saying, though, that's one of the things I find hard about them shrinking the World Cup final category.
yeah,
It's like there's so many people that put so much work in that they should all be allowed to have a chance at it.
yeah, same. Yeah,
It's not like, oh, you were 31st, sorry, mate, you're not quick enough. It's like, go and have another go,
yeah, yeah,
give it your best, Why not?
yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
I don't quite understand like the saying it's for TV and stuff, but you can just film the top 20 dudes. It doesn't matter. You can still have 60 people in the final, but
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I don't really get it. But
Yeah. I think the more people doing it, the better, to be honest. But
we'll sit.
maybe I'm wrong.
I know. Since you've stopped doing World Cup downhill, obviously it's evolved again. Who 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 impresses you the most in the current crop of downhillers, and what do you think? Do you think these younger lads coming through now, they had a lot more opportunity than, well, definitely me in your era of just bike
Hmm.
time on downhill tracks with, chairlifts and so many bike parks these days and places to actually go and ride your bike. Do you think that's a big part of how it's evolving?
Definitely, yeah. Um, Especially with the style of the races too, because there are more bike parky.
Yeah,
So if you're growing up in a place And like you see those little 20-inch wheel or 24-inch wheel full suspension bikes. So there's like 4 or 5 year olds
Yeah.
riding down, I don't know, like black diamond downhill tracks, and you're like, that's mint. If I was 5 years old, I would have been doing that all day.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and like Jackson, Finn, both grew up in Whistler.
Yeah.
I mean,
You couldn't not be fast on your bike if you grew up there, could you?
well, and it's the same with the French.
Yeah.
Like if you live in France, you're going to be good on a mountain bike. For one, they seem to love cycling over there. Like bikes are a good thing, and then the amount of bike parks with chairlifts. Yeah, I mean it shows, doesn't it? How
Yeah.
many top French guys are there in the top 15 now or whatever?
And there's a
Um,
fast French guys, aren't there?
what was that? Sorry,
And
you broke up a bit then.
there's always been fast French guys
Oh
like
yeah, yeah,
the whole history of the sport.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Bruni, I do love watching him ride, and just because I remember when he was he was still at school, so he'd miss a World Cup, and he'd fly out and race Wyndham and get a podium.
Yeah.
And I've sort of watched and raced with him, and he's a friend, you know. I
Yeah.
don't chat to him day to day, but whenever I see him, we get on well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just to see him still going well, I really enjoy that. I like watching Jackson come through and smash it last year. That was pretty awesome. Um, yeah, who else?
What about that? Now you're a half American. What do you think about that? That Ace of Met kid. I heard things about him before he popped up on the World Cup circuit, and he's pretty impressive, isn't he?
Really impressive, yeah. Um, and I just love that whole setup, the frameworks racing thing. Like,
Yeah.
what's not to love about that, you know?
Yeah.
Fully transparent with it all. Like, he'll post his data analysis stuff online. So, oh, we tried it with this bike, we tried it with this one. This is the differences.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
one's quicker. This is what we're going to make.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to try this. We're going to try that.
Yeah. It's cool, isn't it?
And yeah, it's mint.
Yeah.
Really is mint.
And to be fair, you've ridden a lot of different bikes. It's a very simple bike, that isn't it? It's not like got 6 bar million pivot, high, low, flipping idle or whatever, flipping pivot. It's literally just a very simple bike, isn't it?
Yeah, with all the things in the right place.
Yeah.
Yeah, good sizing, good geometry,
Yeah.
good. Yeah. So I'm a big fan, and he's just won world champs, and he, yeah. I saw he was down on the splits, but
Yeah.
pulled it back in the last bit. So
But
be nice to know the full story
yeah,
behind it.
I think he'll be obviously like Jackson and Jordan Williams done for from junior. They were starting one of the one of the first junior years where in a long time where they've actually beaten elite times in World Cups and stuff, and then obviously straight into elite, the smashing out the podiums, was
Yeah,
pretty cool to see. Do you think that's going to happen a lot more now? There's a new breed of young riders coming up, like we said, that have grown up in Whistler and France and stuff.
potentially. I don't know if it's guaranteed though. I don't know if you get like waves, like there'll be like 2 or 3 years where there'll be a little group of really fast guys,
Yeah,
and then they'll like stay at the top for a while,
yeah,
and then say like 4 or 5 years from now, there might be another little group of really fast guys, but
yeah.
um, so it doesn't happen every year, does it?
No, not at all.
Some years the junior field they're quick, but they're not like
Super special, like
yeah, But yeah, I just really hope that ASIC can stay with frameworks. I don't want some super wealthy company to just buy them.
They're going to be,
Um,
aren't they, for sure?
yeah, so yeah, uh, I hope there's some. Well, anyone who sponsors that team already knows that it's a great thing. So fingers crossed they can keep channeling some funds towards them so they can keep it going. Because I don't think there's anyone that doesn't want to see them do well.
No, definitely.
So I think that's. I mean, if I was a billionaire and was going to invest in a race team, I'd probably invest in that one
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
definitely.
this and Santa Cruz, and I'd have me as number one rider.
Yeah.
I'd be getting foot massages pre-race, neck rubs. I'd be like Greg Minnar was. Waiter,
Yeah.
have some grapes, please, sir.
Well, I mean, joking aside, what's your take on Greg's career? So he just announced his, flipping last World Championships this year. You can't knock him for how long he's been doing it and keeping that drive to go at that speed. It's pretty mental, isn't it?
Fully mental. Like, yeah, like you said, to have that drive to keep wanting to win
Hmm.
um, is pretty super unique, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Because, like we just said, there's so many guys that could get down Fort William in 4 minutes, but to do it in 3 minutes 58
yeah.
is like, and Greg can do that, and he has been doing it for a long, long time, and on a variety of bikes.
And hugely different sizes. You look back at his
Yeah,
size of his orange when he was on global winning World Cups. It was incredibly small, wasn't it?
yeah, it'd be like a modern day jump bike, wouldn't it?
Yeah, with suspension.
Yeah, with
Yeah,
suspension.
yeah. And
Yeah,
so, yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
really is. Yeah.
Have
Well,
you?
I'm rooting for Greg. I hope he does well.
Of course, same here.
Yeah, I mean, I hope everyone does well.
Yeah, yeah. There's
I
so
don't
many
want any.
things that you want to do well.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
So what? Who would you say before we move on from the racing? Who would you say has been? You've had a lot of teammates and stuff. Is there any teammates that you've stayed the closest with after racing, and who you've enjoyed hanging out with that have turned into you better friends after racing, or are they all been pretty good?
Yeah, they've all been pretty good. I'd say Win Masters is up there.
Yeah.
Like I was pretty tight with Win anyway.
Uh-huh.
But then getting to spend the time on GT together
Yeah.
was funny. And a lot of people would think we were brothers
Yeah.
because we're both a bit scruffy.
Yeah.
Well, some would call it scruffy. I'd say organic. we both had long hair. It was a bit curly. Both rode bikes. It'd be like, yeah, yeah, we're brothers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'd spent Christmas with Win and Eddie in 2012 at the family home, so I really got to know him well then.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a good friendship with them both, really.
Awesome.
Um, Joe Connell, met him when I was on the Sun team.
Yeah.
Um,
He's a
top
good.
dude.
He's a
Yeah,
good.
really nice dude.
Yeah.
But I'm not one of them guys that keeps in touch with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm not a phone call guy. Like
Yeah.
I ain't just gonna ring someone for a chat.
Yeah.
But if I see him, I'll be like, you get a feeling of goodness through your body. You're like, yeah, good to see you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of night like Brooke. Brooke's a dude.
Yeah.
Camellini.
Yeah.
Like some of my favourite times were him were when we were driving around Monaco in his little Fiat 500 with the roof down,
Yeah.
and it's just mint.
Yeah.
And he's taking me all these little beaches and cliff jumps, and
Brilliant.
it's just mint. Yeah,
Yeah. I think Julian got a bit of a bad rep from a lot of riders because I think one, they were a little bit jealous of him, and two, because he was so fast, and just because
yeah,
you know, he's got his own little quirks, like he's a full monarchist dude, and he with his jumper tied around his neck and all
Oh
that,
yeah,
looking like posh. But at the end of the day, he's just a mint bike rider and a nice dude, isn't he? You know,
yeah, really, it's simple as that.
not big headed. You know,
No, he'll tell you how many grams of pasta to have before a
yeah,
3 hour road ride, and you're like, oh, cheers, mate.
yeah, yeah,
I'll have me this many grams.
yeah, yeah. Brilliant. And did you obviously since you've been, you know, still supported by Santa Cruz and riding Santa Cruz, did you get to spend a fair bit of time with like the likes of Greg and Jackson Goldstone and stuff, or was
um,
it out the loop?
with Greg, yeah, a lot. Um, just because Rat was on the syndicate and Petey,
Yeah,
so I'd hang out with them two a lot, and Greg would be there, and yeah, yeah, quite a lot with Greg and that, and a lot of the Santa Cruz people, but just a bit less these days,
right. So
just
yeah,
because I'm not at as many races.
sure.
But when I was up in Whistler, that was cool. Stayed with them there and
Yeah,
got to hang out and just chat and yeah, just a
good.
nice family vibe, you know.
Yeah,
And that's the case with most teams.
yeah.
Everyone's there for the same reason, and that's like the love of riding bikes. So if you, yeah,
And
it's a
what?
no brainer, really. So all good fun.
Yeah, and I mean, you're a pretty good all round bike rider. You know, you've done all kinds of stuff from dirt jumping, flipping, uh, enduro, downhill. Just you're a bike rider, aren't you? But I noticed the other week you done the Leadville 100. What was that like?
Oh, the Downeyville Classic,
Sorry, the Downhill Classic. I was watching that Leadville the other day.
Leadville. Well, that's it's on my radar that Leadville one, but
I'd
that's
like to do that.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you raced Downeyville?
No,
Oh, you need to come and do it next year, mate.
mate.
It's rad.
Is it?
It's pretty hard. Like to race the downhill, you have to do the cross country, which is like it took me about 2.5 hours, I think, to ride. Basically, from well, not the very bottom. You drive up the road a bit, but you ride up to the top and then come down, or you race up to the top and come down the downhill.
Okay.
So you have to do that on the Saturday, and
Hmm.
then Sunday you get a shuttle up and race the downhill. But the downhill's still quite pedally, and
Same.
that's about
To use the same bike for both days.
yeah, they weigh it before and after to make sure you haven't changed any parts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
But it's just really, really fun.
yeah, it looks mint. Like I'm a bit same with you. Like raced downhill and did the team, and then I got to do some cool riding when we done the enduro team and stuff. But there's lots of other things I've never done that I always fancy doing. You know, don't mean to do good at it, just to do it. Do you know what I mean? It just looks fun to do.
Yeah, you've done the Mega Avalanche, haven't you?
Done that.
It's the downhill day is kind of similar to that, if you know what I mean.
Okay. So it's
Yeah,
pretty.
you
So I thought the mega avalanche was pretty terrifying in some bits. Like,
well that the snow is
yeah,
and just the amount of people
yeah,
going that fast,
yeah,
um, with no traction,
yeah.
pretty gnarly. Um, whereas the downhill you're on your own.
Okay.
So it's a bit less gnarly, but then you don't want the person to catch you from behind.
Yeah.
And you're kind of trying to catch a person in front, like you'll see glimpses of dust, and you're like, oh yeah, here we go. But then you can go for another 10 minutes and see nothing.
No way.
So you're like, oh, am I going slow? What's happening? Um, but yeah, the more I go to Downeyville, the more I enjoy riding it,
Yeah.
which I found happened with Fort William too. Like the first time I went there, so rocky and rough. I
Hmm.
was like, you do half a run and you're done.
Yeah.
But then later on in my career, I was like, fuck yeah, Fort William.
Yeah.
I can't wait. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't touch me. I wouldn't sit down in race runs. I just stand up everywhere.
Yeah.
And if I was, yeah, if it was a flat bit of track, I'd be pedaling.
Yeah.
And if it was, yeah, it ended up feeling short. So, yeah, similar thing with Downeyville. Like the more I'm there, it's fairly local to here. It's about 4 hours away.
So is
So
it
we go
is
on.
sorry, is it a fair gnarly track like in places?
Yeah, super exposed. Like I forget the name of it, but like a flat pedally bit near the bottom. If you catch a pedal and go to the right,
Oh God.
you'd be lucky to get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's just big mountain experience.
So
Um,
what's the bike you ride for that then?
I race me tall boy. It's like
Okay.
120, 130 mil on the back, 140 on the front,
Right.
29 front and rear. Um,
And is that enough? Like, obviously, you're a flipping shit up bike rider, but because I noticed when I went to the Mega, like the first year I went there, someone said, "Oh, you need a like trail bike," and then the year after I went, I took a bigger travel bike. I guess what would be the equivalent to a full enduro bike now, and I found it easier on that.
yeah, I mean, my tall boy is a big bike. Well, a lot of the guys race a Blur, like a XC race bike.
Right. Okay.
So I'm on a big bike, whereas
That's a
it's
big
this,
bike. You wouldn't
yeah.
you wouldn't ride a um what's the Santa Cruz enduro bike called? Um,
Well, there's a few.
what's the big travel 29?
The Yeah, Mega Tower. You wouldn't ride that.
Wouldn't ride that, no. Right.
No, you would if you're there on holiday with your mates.
Yeah.
But yeah, the climb on the cross country day is 12 mile
Bloody hell.
uphill at altitude, and it was really hot.
Right.
Well, this last year wasn't as hot, but the year before was scorching.
Right.
Like there's a feed zone at 6 mile and or 7 miles, and some dude he'd almost got there and parked up under a tree next to this other guy and was like, "My name's John," and then he just went out cold, like full heat stroke.
No way.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is
yeah, that's all.
really hot.
Yeah.
Too hot to be doing that, really. So
Yeah, yeah.
this year they brought the start time forward an hour, and
Okay.
luckily we got a bit of cloud.
Right, okay. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the hardest bit there for me, just how hot it is.
Yeah. But you
Yeah,
enjoyed it, did you? You enjoying doing some completely different stuff now?
yeah, definitely. You said it before. I'm just a bike rider.
Same.
It's hard to take that away. Yeah, any bike.
Yeah.
Like I was pretty against e-bikes,
Yeah.
and I still am in a way because I just think analog bikes are going to be a thing of the past, and I think they're so mint
Yeah, I know.
that
I hope
it's
they're
hard
not.
to watch them disappear.
I know. I hope they're not, but I know where you're going with it, and I do see it. The only thing is, like, I went out for a ride this morning. I was telling you at Cave Muir, and with some older boys, like my age and a bit older. And there was one guy there, and he's 68, and he still rides all the techie downhill stuff we done. And there was one that was pretty wild, and he wouldn't be able to get up all the climbs anymore, if he didn't have one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's
So,
the thing. I got on it, and I love riding it,
uh,
but there's a bit of me inside. I'm just like,
no,
really?
I mean, I've had one for a good few years, but I still ride me normal bike a lot more than me bike.
Oh man, there you go.
But that might change as I get older and my knees creak even more.
Well, it's that, and then everyone else gets e-bikes.
Yeah,
So if you're on an analog,
yeah,
you're either sprinting up every hill
yeah,
to try and just stay anywhere near them,
yeah, yeah,
or you're riding on your own.
yeah,
Um,
definitely. And
so yeah,
what's the the scene like where you are? Is there a lot of e-bikes, or is it still more mountain bikes, normal mountain bikes?
Uh, there is a lot of e-bikes,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of bikes here in general, to be honest.
Is it
Like you go to any of the riding spots on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, they're pretty busy.
right?
But there is a lot of e-bikes.
Yeah.
But
Um, Where's the
yeah,
best place to ride, like that you've come across round where you're living now?
um, the best. There's a forest called Nicene Marks near Aptos.
Right.
Um, yeah, mint, really, really mint. And like, there's another spot closer to here where I ride. People call it like the campus area.
Right.
Anyone listening who's been to Santa Cruz will have probably ridden there.
Yeah.
And just a bit higher up the mountain, there's a pretty good trail network. The thing is, everything's unsanctioned here.
Okay.
There's a couple of official trails, but most of it is just ridden and raked in.
Right.
Um, yeah, so there's stuff dotted all over. But Nicene is my favourite.
Right.
Slightly thicker forest, so you get more dirt and it stays wetter for longer.
Okay.
Whereas the spot I was just talking about, with it being higher up, it's a bit more exposed and it's like decomposing granite. So it
Right.
goes like kitty litter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So unless it's wet and
It's
like rained within a week or whatever, it's I mean it's good because it's the type of riding I would have avoided and I would have said it would be like a weakness of mine. But I'm not like if I had a choice, I'd race in the pouring rain and thick mud,
yeah.
and I
Yeah.
would never have chose dust. But the more I'm riding this thick dust, this granity kitty litter stuff, it's just a different style of riding.
Yeah.
It can go wrong terribly quickly
Yeah.
because you're like, oh, I'm the boss here, I'm
Yeah.
surfing the dirt, and then
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um,
I
but
remember
yeah, loads.
getting that. Like the first time I went and raced at Big Bear, I didn't know what to do. I went over my bars in just in a corner in qualifying and fell down a bank. And but then years later, when I rode there a lot more, I just loved sliding in that stuff and making big piles of dirt. And you just get used to how your bike handles, and it's really good fun in it.
Yeah, yeah. I was just up in Idaho.
Okay,
We were meant to be racing, but there was some forest fire thing, so they cancelled the race because of smoke.
right,
But we'd booked everything, so we all went up there, and it was mate on the e-bikes riding because I was going to race analog, but after they cancelled the race, I was like, I'm taking e-bike. Got a day in on the chairlift with an e-bike because I'm like, what am I doing here? That big heavy e-bike on chairlift. But the extra weight of the bike
yeah,
in this much dust was awesome.
yeah,
Traction felt like I was on a motorbike in the sand,
yeah,
and like there'd be nice berms, and I'd just like come about a foot in from the ride line where it was extra soft, extra powdery, and you could just keep your feet on,
and
and it was like you were skiing.
yeah,
It was amazing. So
brilliant. And
I'm a
I'm
dusty guy now.
Yeah, I definitely got into a dusty guy living there, and I love riding when it's hot and dusty these days, which doesn't happen very often where I live.
Hey,
Um,
you need to get out here, bro.
I'd love to. I'm definitely gonna have
Yeah.
to come out. I've just yeah, I've just got a new bike, a new frame last week. They've built up, and I flipping I went out on that today. Well, I actually went to the Malverns for the first time in since '98.
Oh,
Um,
really? Since the
yeah.
original ones. Nice.
I saw a win there. Yeah, I did. I went with that. I went with Harrison. We just camped in van and we done like the grass slalom, the grass four cross, and the grass downhill. And so I took my new bike there, and then I rode it today. And yeah, I love it. just got a nice new bike and just buzzing off riding it. So
I
yeah.
mean, what have you had? What bike is it?
I've always, over the years, I've always, had really good bikes. So lucky, like riding for, teams, and then for companies, and then having the race team for so long. We got to make good bikes and new proof. But I've always fancied an Evil, uh,
Right, yeah,
and I just got the 140 mil Evil, so it's a little bit lighter and nippy and stuff. Uh,
nice.
and yeah, love it. It's mint, mint.
Happy
So
days.
yeah, I'd love to come over there. Maybe I'll get an opportunity sometime next year to get over there, and if
Yeah,
to come and meet you and take me on some rides.
yeah. Even if you make it for Seattle,
Yeah, that's a good
that's
idea.
just down the road.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And
Yeah.
so, what are you? What's your day-to-day riding and races that you're kind of planning to do nowadays?
Um. Well, I try and ride as much as possible, really. Um. Racing. Well, it's kind of been tough because when I first moved here, I wasn't allowed to leave America. Once you've put your application in for your residency thing, if you leave the country, you're basically cancelling it.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was kind of stuck here, and then I was looking into races round here, and nothing's that local in America.
Oh no. Hmm.
It's like a 15-hour drive to go and do a regional race.
Yeah. No.
Um,
I don't
and
know.
then I go there, and I've never been,
Yeah.
and the locals have ridden it every year for the last 10 years.
So
So I
far.
get absolutely smoked.
Yeah.
So I need a few years of going to these races and
Yeah.
learning the venues and all that. But just trying to keep it fun, to be honest.
So what sort of racing, like enduro, downhill? What's
Yeah, bit. I'll race anything.
yeah?
Yeah, I don't want to say I'm only going to race this or I'm only going to race that. But like in Whistler, I did the enduro, the Garbanzo downhill, and
That's cool.
yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really fun.
Yeah.
I like the longer ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, doing a downhill, like a traditional downhill track is pretty fun. But getting on can you hear that rumbling?
Yeah. Is that?
Some builders next door doing something.
It's not too bad.
Nah, sound. But yeah, just time on the bike, you know,
Yeah.
mega avalanche, anything long. You're
Yeah.
just riding. You're like, oh, still going. Yeah, keep
That's
going.
still good.
Just
It's
keep
still
going, mate.
different to what we were used to in it, growing up and stuff. Because every run's like, like now where I live compared to where I used to live, like you got a 3 minute run and you think, flipping it, this is mega long, but
Yeah, this is big.
so short in it compared to other places.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about Nicene Marks, that place. There's a track in there, and we were saying we ride there most Sundays, and we were saying that it's got to be 4.5, 5 minutes if you're pinning it,
No way.
and like you're on your brakes. It's steep, it's loamy, it's mint.
Cool.
Like, yeah, and it
Cool.
gets steeper as you go down. So it sets off and it's pretty fast, and there's like a little flat thing, and then just starts doing this, and then
Oh,
and some bits like after like I won't ride into it without looking because
right.
every lap down it gets pretty wild.
Wow.
So you'll get to this thing and like look over the edge and you're like, right, yeah, I'll slap it there and try and cut across. Or
No way.
yeah, it's a proper track, mate.
If you're doing that, it might be a bit of a disaster if I come.
Well, you'll be fine, but there are some people that I want to show and share it with, but I'm just
Bit worried.
yeah, I mean like it's gnarly.
Yeah.
And if you're in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
like no phone service, it's at least an hour ride. back out to where you'd potentially see someone.
Right. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it could get messy down there, but you just got to be careful.
Yeah. Yeah. Know your limits and
Yeah, just ride within yourself, but
I mean,
sometimes that's easier said than done, isn't it?
yeah.
You get a bit excited.
Yeah. Defo. And so, what's the plan now? Are you looking to stay there full time? Do you think? Think you found the place that you want to be?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, definitely going to be here for a bit. Um, yeah, I don't want to be like, oh, this is me forever,
Yeah.
because
Don't
I
know.
could see myself living in loads of places.
Yeah.
Like
Same.
I'd be really happy in the Alps.
Yeah. I know.
I was pretty happy in Mac. You
Yeah.
know, Mac Forest is sick. Um, yeah, but I'm like so like routine's good for me.
Yeah.
Um, and now all my stuff's here. It seems pretty easy to be here,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm legally allowed to leave and
Cool.
come back. And when
Cool.
I come back, I just show me a little green card,
Brilliant.
straight in, no messing.
Awesome.
Because yeah, it can be kind of awkward to get into the US sometimes,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially when you're scruffy. I need to get some white jeans and a 2 centimeters took off me booth on.
2 centimeters, your white jeans on, tie your jumper around your neck, and
Yeah,
you're
bit of a
good.
French accent.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
Couple
oui, bonjour.
couple of onions hanging off your necklace.
Onions, yeah.
Um.
Um, but yeah, in the thick of it, really. We just had bought some land over here.
Okay.
Um, it was on a property which burnt down they had a load of big fires here about 4 years ago.
Right.
It was a dry lightning storm.
Okay.
So it was like end of August, end of summer, everything's dusty and bone dry. And then they had this storm that did just lightning, and every lightning bolt made a fire. So it was like hundreds of little fires all over the mountains,
Oh, wow.
which, yeah, I think it burnt maybe 1,500 homes or something. But like, I want to say like 100,000 acres,
Bloody hell.
like pretty big fire.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, that was 4 years ago. And yeah, it's pretty crazy being on a burn lot.
Yeah.
Um, like the top half burned, the bottom half didn't. So we've still got a garage and some trees, but uh, yeah, there's not a lot there. So going to
What
be busy with that for a while.
are you gonna build an house there? Like,
Yeah,
oh, mint, mint.
yeah. Um, so that's where I'm at the moment.
Cool. Cool.
Basically, yeah.
I'm,
Bit of
I'm,
building, ride my bike a bunch. Uh, yeah, and just getting the groove.
sounds good,
Yeah,
lad. I'm
yeah,
glad
yeah.
glad you made it there and you're happy. It's great.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and
I'm
like I say, you're welcome whenever. Bring the fam.
We'll have to come for sure. We went to SoCal for a little holiday in February, and the family weren't too stoked on the full American thing. Like we did the full American, tourist thing, and yeah,
Yeah,
preferred it when we went to like Huntington Beach or Laguna. So they probably prefer it up where you are, I reckon.
yeah. I mean, I know your family. I think they like it up here.
Yeah, yeah, they're
It's a
all
bit more in a leafany.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think they
Like
would. I think they would.
Santa Cruz itself is only like 60,000 people
Yeah, mad.
population, so it's not like
Yeah.
crazy. And then as soon as you're 10 minutes up into the mountains, you're well out of the way.
And tell me this, do they still have the because I went there years and years ago, like mid-90s, and they had the roller coaster off the Lost Boys. Is that still there?
Yeah, it just had its 100th birthday. The
Oh
roller
way.
coaster did. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's still there. I go for a few laps here and there.
Big wooden piece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's the giant dipper.
Did you watch The Lost Boys, or were you too young for that back in the day?
Too young, but I've seen it since I came here.
Yeah. What a
And
film!
there's sick film, and there's one called Chasing Mavericks.
Oh yeah,
That was based in Santa Cruz as well. That's a good film
I'll have to check
about
that out.
this young kid who wants to go and surf at Mavericks, which is just up the road.
Oh, nice.
But that's crazy. We were there last New Year's Eve, and there was a big swell in the ocean,
Yeah.
65-foot waves,
Holy Christ!
and you can just see these little specks, and it's like jet ski towing the guy in, and then you can see like the jet ski air out the top of the wave and get gone,
And
and
they
you
got
just see this little white line, and yeah, mate,
yeah, I don't think I've
crazy.
I'll up at my age, like flipping me all.
Me either.
And what's the crack with before we finish? What's the crack with 50 to 1 and all that stuff?
Still going strong, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, it's a little bit different over here. Obviously, in the UK and Europe, it's got a bit more traction and that.
Are you trying to
Um,
promote it in the States? Have you got like anyone selling it over there?
Not really. No, we're working on it. Um, yeah, it's just having space to do it. Rent's pretty expensive over here. Um, and then priority for me was getting myself legal before I started doing any of the business side of things.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think I've just there's a bit to do with that,
Yeah, yeah.
just to make sure we do it by the book because I don't want to get on the wrong side of the law over here.
Yeah. Soon boot you out.
Yeah, and get expensive.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean uh Rat sent me a bit of clobber when I finished up my job, and I've been
Yeah,
love the products. They're flipping mint. Love it.
thanks, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is good. It's awesome being here too. Like I was in a coffee shop a few weeks ago and just saw a guy with a 50 to 1 hat on.
Mega.
And I didn't say out because I'm not that kind of dude, but I was just like, I mean,
Yeah,
get
that's
myself an extra shot of espresso in this one.
oh, that's funny, mate. I really
Yeah.
hope you guys do well with it because yeah, it's a cool brand and
Yeah, we're coming up for 10 years as well now.
is it really? That's nuts.
2015 we became a company. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mad, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Really is. But it's a good milestone. Should have a
yeah,
party.
yeah. You should. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Um, cool, man. Well, I better let you go because I'm sure you've got stuff to do. But it's been awesome chatting to you again, and
Yeah, likewise.
just congratulations on your career so far. There's loads more years of it, and just
Thanks, mate.
yeah, you've done amazing in all the different stuff you've done. So keep being an absolute legend and a dude. And I'll,
Cheers, brother. You too. You keep it up. You're a big inspiration, bro. I've
well,
still got a crud catcher, which you, Petey, Adele, and Mark Beaumont signed from
no,
Northwest Mountain Bike Centre in probably I think 2002.
no way. I bet mine you tried
Yeah.
to wipe it off, didn't you? Got all these legends, and then some knobhead flipping wrote on it.
No, I got two at the time, and I sprayed one with lacquer and put it on my bike,
Brilliant.
but it didn't work. The other one I've kept in good condition. That's in my shed at my dad's house, so
Great.
I'll have to root it out and find it you one day.
Oh, yeah. Oh, mega, mate. All right. Well, thanks so
Sweet,
much.
brother.
Tom. Thanks very much, dude. And you take
Double
care.
thumbs up.
Yeah, and make America a better place. I'm sure you will.
I'll do my best.
All right, lad.
Awesome. Take it easy, bro. Thank
See
you.
you later. See you
Big
soon.
up.
Ciao, mate.
Ciao, ciao. See you soon.
Bye. Well, I hope you really enjoyed that podcast as much as I did. Sam's an absolute legend of a fella. It's great catching up with him and chatting about his awesome career and what he's up to now. So yeah, please like, subscribe, comment, do all that stuff. Keeps us going. If anyone out there wants to sponsor a podcast, just please get in touch. That'd really help us out. And yeah, thanks for listening, watching, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.